Oh, there we go. There's the bell. All right. Okay, all right. So there was the bell. So go ahead and get started on the do now. All right. Press pause and then we'll come back. Okay, all right. So let's see. So okay, find the distance now, like you did on the quiz on Friday. These two coordinates are the same, so we're gonna focus on these two coordinates instead. So now my question is, how far is -7 away from 8, or 8 from -7? So how far is -7 away from 8? Yep, 15, right? 15 units. Okay, all right. Unit 8, day 6. Today's the 11th. Homework is online. Okay, problematic. 5 questions. Remember, the quiz is due tomorrow, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Okay, after which I'm going to take the quiz down from the website. Okay, all right. Keep doing your attendance. To my homeroom, I'm for the past 2 days or 3 days in a row, I've got 29 people who signed into homeroom and 2 that hasn't. So I'm trying to figure out. I need to figure out who the two students are. Okay. Homeroom number, phone name. Let's see. Okay, we went over this already. Okay. All right. So I'm really hoping that by this week I can tell you what the grading policy is, okay? And then tell you and then send your parents an email with your grades on them, okay? So I gotta do that. All right. So let's see. Here's how far we've come along so far, right? We talked about reflection. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago already? Um, that we did this, right? We did the activity where we're plotting the shapes. We talked about what reflections are, okay? And then we stopped here, Friday, and then you had to take the quiz. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so today let's do this. We're gonna finish this part here, okay? And then I'm gonna let you go to Khan Academy. Actually, we should probably do this first, and then to end the lesson, I'll let you watch the video from Khan Academy, and then also do a little activity on their website. Okay, it's pretty good. I like it. All right, so here's what we did yesterday. The last thing we did yesterday. The last thing we did yesterday was to take a point, right? Like point A here. Oh, this is point A, right? And reflected that off of the x-axis. In other words, we use the, well, okay, not a very straight line. We use the x-axis. You know, I could do actually. I could do a better job than that and keep the color. Yeah, exactly. Right? So we use the x-axis for all 4 questions as a mirror, right? So if we have point A here, the reflection of point A across the x-axis, the mirror, would be right here, right? It would be called A what? Do you remember what this little symbol called? By the way, it's not A to the first power, okay? This is not a 1. This is actually an apostrophe. Okay, so like this is an apostrophe, right? Like if you say it's, right? That's an apostrophe. So this is an apostrophe actually. So again, let me repeat the question. What is this symbol called? How do we say this? A what? Yep, A prime. Okay, so let me write that. A prime. So in English, it's called A prime. Okay. All right. So here we have for B. Okay, and I'm only going over it to this extent because it's we had the weekend that kind of broke the lesson up. So B was here, right? The smiley face. So what's the point B that is reflected across the x-axis? Right, it was here, right? And we call that B prime, right? And this was the point, and then we recorded it. So on and so forth for C and D. So today what we're going to do is this. We're going to do the same, but now we're going to reflect across the y-axis. So what we're going to do is we're going to plot some points, all right? And then we'll do the same, except with the difference that this time the mirror is across the y-axis. Okay, maybe I should have done that Friday. All right, so this may be a little bit more clear. Okay, and I like this line a lot. Okay, all right, let's plot point A. Use a magic pen. All right, point A is 1, 3. Okay, and let me label that point A. Let's use purple. I don't want to use pink actually. Pink is cool. All right, let's use pink. Let's make it happen. All right. Let's see. Okay, so this is point A. Oops, no, that's not it. No, that's not prime. That's just A. Okay, right? So this is the y-axis, right? And if this is the mirror, where would be the image of its reflection? Okay, so that's the question. Where would it be? Take a look. Yeah, it'll be right here, right? It's like right here. Boom. Okay, so where would this point be? Let's write that down. This would be A prime, and A prime will be located at -1, 3 up, right? 1 to the left, 3 up. So that's where point A is. Okay, so let's do the same thing for point B. All right, let's pick something different from Friday. Oh, look at this. Okay. 2, -2, -2. So -2, -2 is right here. Okay, all right. And let's say this is point B. We'll label that as such. Now, if we reflect this point B, across this as a mirror, where would this flip over to? Yeah, it'll be right here, right? So let me make another point. Where is it? Right here, all right? And this would be considered point B prime. So where's B prime? It would be 2 over, 2 down. 2 to the right, 2 down. Okay? All right? Now, go ahead. Take a couple of minutes, do C and D. All right? Press pause, and then we'll go over it. Okay, all right, here we go. So let's try C. Let's use this. This looks interesting. All right, where's point C? -4, 5. So that's all the way up here. Oh, that's an interesting point. All right. Let's label that C. And then where is so where would this be? If I reflect this over the y-axis, where would this flip over to? All right, you see what I'm doing? I'm actually counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this would be C prime. Let me write that down. 4 over, 4 to the right, 5 up. Okay, last one. All right, let's pick something interesting, which means I don't know what to pick. All right, this is the snowflake one, but can't see it. So, all right, let's make a smiley face then. All right. Where is it? 2. D is 2, -5. Okay, so where would point D be if you flip it over the y-axis? Okay, where would that be? Yep, that's right. It's right here. 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. Okay. All right, so this is D prime. So D prime is, where is this? 2 to the left, 5 down. Okay. Now, obviously, you know, another thing that you probably will predict is that you're not always going to be provided with a graph. And let's say there's 10 of these on the quiz, right? And you're not provided with a graph paper. What are you going to do, right? And I know some of you say, well, I'll just draw a graph and then I'll go from there. True, right? What happens if you're like not allowed to use a graph? The question is, well, what would you do, right? So here I'm gonna point this. I'm gonna see if you guys can catch it. Okay, and typically this is again where like there's probably some bonus points involved. All right, so for like an extra quarter point for your classwork or something like that. And the question is this, right? Now we know. Let's use a cool pen. Paintbrush. No, maybe not. Crayon. Maybe not. What is a text pen? Oh, I know what a text pen does. I think when whatever you write, it turns to a typed word. Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's try it. So you know that these are reflections across the x-axis, right? Let's see if it turns to a typed word. That'll be. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Okay, wow, that's awesome. That's incredible. Right? These are reflections across the x-axis. I'm just rewriting this, right? And these are reflections across the y-axis. Wow, that's an amazing tool. Okay, all right. It's like I've been using this for eons. And this is like the first time I realized, right? So the question for all of you is there a pattern to this? So look, x-axis, right? So this is how you would even observe the pattern. Is there a way I could draw a curved graph line? Oh, there we go. Look at this. So the question is, okay, how does this become this? How does this become this? How does this become this? And how does this become this? Okay, all right. It's gonna be very difficult to clean all this up when I'm done teaching, but that's all right. It's cool. Okay, so look at A to A prime. What changed? B to B prime. What changed? C to C prime. What changed? And D to D prime. What changed? Have you noticed? If you're reflecting across the x-axis, what changed? Okay, all right, that's right. Look, let's see what's the best highlighter to use. This one's the best highlighter to use. Look, have you noticed when we reflect across the x-axis, all the y coordinates turn into a different number, right? And not only is it different, it's specific. You see how it went from 3 to -3? -2 now is +2. 5 is now -5. And look. -5 is now +5. Have you noticed they all turn into the opposite number, right? Again, let me point this out to you. Have you noticed, right? 3 here became a -3, right? The opposite of 3 is -3, right? Notice that? And how the opposite of -2 now becomes 2. The opposite of 5 now becomes -5. And now -5 becomes +5. Right? Have you noticed? And now, yeah, it's interesting, right? We're mentioning the x-axis, but look, these are all the y coordinates, right? That's the y coordinate. That's the y coordinate. That's the y coordinate. Right? So when we are reflecting, when we are flipping over the x-axis, the y coordinate, the second coordinate, is the one that changes. And not only does it change, it goes from a positive to a negative. And if it's negative, it goes back to a positive. It goes into its own opposite number. Okay? Now, similarly, look at the y-axis. See if you can spot the same thing, right? Here, we go from... Oh, oops, wrong. Oops, my bad. Okay, look at the y-axis, right? It went from 1 to -1, -2 to +2, -4 to +4, and 2 to, you guessed it, -2. So have you noticed that in this case, right, that because we are reflecting off of the y-axis, Okay, the computer is frozen. Okay, all right. Because we're reflecting off the y-axis. Oops, I'm pointing at the wrong thing. Oops. The x-axis, the x-coordinate is the one that changes. Right? Have you noticed that? Right? So y-axis we're reflecting off of is the first one that changes. So let's summarize that real quick. All right, you really need to write this down. Okay, so press pause, take a couple of minutes and write this down. Okay, and I'll read it in the meantime. To reflect a point in the x-axis, meaning this first one, right? This first one, x-axis. The x-coordinate remains the same and the y-coordinate is the opposite number. So look, the first one, when we're reflecting across the x-axis, the first number, right? The first number remains the same, right? So 1 is 1, negative 2 is negative 2, negative 4 is negative 4, 2 is 2, right? But the second one, the y-coordinate, is changes. It's the opposite now. It went from 3 to negative 3, negative 2 to 2, 5 to negative 5, negative 5 to positive 5. Okay? Now, let's see what the second rule says, and then I'll let you copy. To reflect a point in the y-axis, this example right here, the y-coordinate remains the same. So the second number stays the same. So when you're reflecting over the y-axis, when you're flipping over the y-axis, these numbers stay the same, the second one. So 3 is 3, negative 2 is negative 2, 5 is 5, negative 5 is negative 5. But what happens? The first coordinate, the x-coordinate, actually changes to its opposite. So 1 is negative 1, negative 2 now is opposite of that, which is positive 2. Negative 4 is now positive 4. 2 is now negative 2. Okay, so go ahead and write that, and then we'll practice a little bit more, okay? All right, so write this down. You got to take, I don't care if you take 5 minutes. Write this down. Okay, and we're back. Okay, so knowing that, let's do one of these together. Okay, without any graph, right? Notice there's no graph involved here. So let's try this. Okay, all right, so here we have an order pair, negative 12, comma 13. So the first question says reflect off the x-axis. So try not to look at your notes, all right? Try not to look here. What changes? If we're reflecting over the x-axis, right, that means the x-axis stays the same. Think about that. I know it's not intuitive, right? It's kind of weird. Like, you want me to reflect off of the x-axis, but shouldn't I change the x number, right? I know. It's the opposite, okay? So think about this. If you're reflecting off of the x-axis, then the x stays the same, which means it's going to be negative 12. And what happens to the 13 now? Yep, becomes its opposite, negative 13. Okay? Same thing, reflection off of the y-axis, not the same thing, it's different actually, right? Meaning the y number stays the same. What happens to the x number, the x value? It goes from negative 12 to, that's right, positive 12. Okay, so with that said, try these two, and then I want to show you something. I want to show you one more thing, and then I'll let you guys look at the Khan Academy for today. Okay, I might stop actually. Yeah, because then I might just stop actually. Okay, all right. So take like 5 minutes. Okay, try these two, and then we'll come back. Okay, so press pause. Okay, all right, and we're back. So this first one, right, reflection in the x-axis, that means x stays the same. Y changes to what? Right, the opposite of negative 9 is positive 9. On the other hand, reflection in the same y-axis, so y stays the same, and then who changes? Right, the 4 becomes a negative 4. Okay, all right, now let's see, last one. 10, negative 10, negative 8, all right, so x stays the same, that's negative 10 then, right? And then y changes to positive 8. Okay, all right, last one. Let's see. Y stays the same, right? Reflection across the y-axis, so y stays the same, so that's -8. What happens to the -10? Becomes a +10. Okay, so right now, I think that's enough for today. Okay, because I believe that whenever we're doing this remote learning thing, that if you learn one new concept a day, like that's enough. So, okay, so right now on the blog, we have the video number 1 from Khan Academy. All right, so he's going to explain to you how to do this. Okay, so this video, it's him showing you how to do this. All right, so the first video, I think what is it, like 3-4 minutes. All right, and this second thing, it'll take you 5 minutes. So I think that's perfect timing because we're at 20 plus another 10, yeah, 30. I think it's okay. All right, so that's it. All right, I'm gonna sign off here. Tomorrow we will resume off of this. So tomorrow, here's what we're gonna do. All right, this is fun to me. We are going to reflect off of the x-axis and then the y-axis at the same time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reflect something off of the x-axis and then the y-axis and the x-axis at the same time. So we're gonna do 2 reflections in the same question. Okay, so that's a lot of fun. Okay, all right. So I'm going to stop right here. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, all right, bye-bye. Okay. Oh, there we go. There's the bell. All right. Don't tell me you don't miss that bell.
OMG, that was so good.